She's an international best-selling author who's speaking her truth and inspiring others to do the same. Tamika Thomas has dedicated her career to helping people release anxiety, self-loathing patterns, and insecurities, and she's encouraging them to live life with authenticity and empathy. Tamika joins us today to share insights from her book, The Sensitive Stone: A Transformational Journey to Discovering Your Inner Rock. This is Advocate Now. Well, Tamika, I want to talk about your international best-selling book, The Sensitive Stone, which is kind of like a blueprint for cultivating inner truth and happiness. What was the catalyst that led you to write this book?
The Sensitive Stone actually started out as a journal for myself, and I sort of just started writing things down and making my own little Bible from it. And I figured, you know what? If it's helping me stop being so overly sensitive and dangerously compassionate, then maybe I can help someone else not be that person.
You're empowering people to live more authentically and overcome their insecurities. What would you say is the first step for someone who's struggling with their self-worth?
I would say start by making love with yourself. And what I mean is start doing things that you would do for other people to show them love. Start taking yourself out on little dates, pampering yourself, getting little self-love gifts, anything to fuel yourself with love.
You're a big believer in affirmations. Tell us about the power behind positive affirmations and how they help to, release the need for others to validate us.
I would say affirmations, they are powerful because they're pledges to continue to honor and respect yourself. They're pledges to do your best and to constantly acknowledge yourself. In this way, you're not looking for people to validate you, but yourself.
And it's still important to acknowledge lower vibrational feelings as a way of releasing them. But, we want to acknowledge them and not affirm them, right?
Yeah, you want to acknowledge your lower vibration because you want to let people know that you are human. Like we're constantly wearing our superhero cape all the time. So we sort of forget that we're human. So acknowledging them, it allows us to say, you know what, I'm human. Then it allows you to assess yourself, like assess your mess, your mental space, your emotional space, and your spiritual space, so that you can then start finding resolves in the feelings that you're feeling.
And can that acknowledgement also help someone understand the vastness of their inner strength?
Yeah, absolutely. Because again, assessing your mental space and your emotional space, it will help you enforce the power within yourself constantly. And this is something that you have to do all the time, every day, the same way as you take a shower, the same way as you'll eat. This will continuously bring that power inside of yourself.
Well, I love that the book dives into the balance between empathy and personal power. If you had to quantify it, where would you say that line of balance exists?
In boundaries. I would say that line of balance exists in boundaries. When you can create boundaries, you can create balance, and no one can stop that. Once you have boundaries, no one can cross them. So you're constantly, steadily walking in a calm space.
And when we take the time to strengthen our connection with ourselves, we can actually strengthen our connection with others as well. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it helps you be in sync with people, because now you're starting to find your own truth. When people meet you or when they start to relearn who you are, they'll start seeing you as your truthful self, and they'll begin to accept and respect you, and you'll be able to do the same for others.
Society tends to place a lot of shame on people who are just trying to better themselves. It can even be seen as selfish by some, but you talk about embracing that selfishness in your book. What does embracing selfishness look like?
Oh my goodness. It looks like being able to say no to people and actually sticking to it, like being able to unapologetically spend time on yourself and take the effort and show yourself the same compassion as you would show anyone else, but doing it unapologetically.
Well, the book, of course, is about balancing sensitivity with personal strength, but we should also acknowledge being a sensitive and empathic person can actually be a superpower if the right awareness and energy are behind it. With that inner work that you've done, what are some of the greatest gifts that have emerged from your empathy?
Well, I learned to remove my superhero cape. I learned to treat myself as a human being. I learned to show compassion towards myself. I wasn't really doing that before. I was just doing it for everyone else, and I was losing myself as a result of it. So I started to feel okay being sensitive, just learning how to balance it all out.
Yeah, and you talked about setting boundaries. What would you say your relationship with yourself and setting boundaries is like right now?
The relationship with myself now is I am definitely more balanced within myself. Like, I do say no now. I don't go above and beyond my capacity to the point where I'm completely destroying myself. Um, I don't internalize everything that someone says now. If someone else says they can't, I accept it because I know that they're protecting their boundaries, something that I wasn't doing before. So I'm starting to understand that, you know what? This is why people weren't doing things before. This is why people did say no before. This is why people weren't flying to my rescue or anyone else's rescue before, because they knew how to set boundaries. So now it's what I do for myself. I show myself more compassion and more self-love now.
Are there any other rituals or practices that you would say that help to keep you balanced?
Just being one with myself. Like, I listen to meditation music sometimes, or sometimes I just sit still and I just reflect on just everything that's happening throughout the day. I try not to invest in all the bad things that I'm hearing. I try to feed my mind things that aren't negative. The conversations I have with people, I pay attention to what I'm talking about so that I don't go to sleep with that on my mind. Things like that.
Well, Tamika, thank you so much for joining us. Everyone, check out Tamika's book, The Sensitive Stone, a transformational journey to discovering your inner rock. Thank you for talking with us today.
Thank you.
I'm Sonia Baghdadi. Thanks for watching and advocating. For more stories and content like this, visit advocate.com and advocatechannel.com. On tomorrow's episode, well, Priya, I want to start with the basics. What is Ayurveda?
It's a great question. So Ayurveda is actually the world's oldest health and wellness system or system of medicine. It's originated in India. And a fun fact people often don't know is that it's actually a sister science to yoga. So both those philosophies were written in the same text. So they're really practiced together for people who are deep into yoga or people who are deep into Ayurveda. And it's interesting in today's kind of day and age where people are really starting to take control over their health. Ayurveda could not be more specific to the time that we're living in, given that the core principles of it really are centered around personalization and being preventative. So personalization in the sense that it takes the lens that you and I are very different. So the exercise routines we do, the diets we have, how we go about planning our day should also be very different. So it takes into type an individual's mind or body type in Ayurveda, which is known as your dosha. And it's preventative in that everything surrounding Ayurveda is really in support of the body. And so it's focused on putting in practices that prevent you from getting ill versus reactively trying to find remedies when maybe an illness has gotten too far.
The Advocate Channel is here to be a voice for underserved and underrepresented LGBTQ+ and BIPOC communities. Join the conversation. Subscribe on YouTube and Facebook. Download our Roku and Fire TV app. Take us with you. Get the Advocate Channel app on your Apple or Android device. Thanks for watching. I'm Sonia Baghdadi. There's more Advocate Channel after the break.